I'm sad to say that I'm leaving the Munich and Tegernsee area. Tegernsee. That's what I think. Tegernsee? Anyway. Tegernsee. I think they always say Tegernsee. Anyway, I'm leaving this area, which I absolutely love, but can't pronounce. I've mentioned it before in previous videos that I'm just obsessed with this place, and so I will be coming back, but I'm sad to be leaving right now. Today, we're headed off to Austria, and in particular, Vienna, Austria. But before we get to Vienna, we're making a stop off at what I like to think of as a sort of secretive Red Bull, I was going to say headquarters, but it's not headquarters, it's kind of just like a secretive Red Bull something. It's called Hangar 7, and of course you can Google it and you can visit it as a member of the public, but there's just this slight air of secrecy and strangeness about the place. I believe they have various exhibits of old F1 cars and Red Bull planes and just everything sort of great from Red Bull, and there's food and it's supposed to be beautiful, and I've seen lots of promo shots of the place over the years, but not a lot of sort of press of people going to visit. So I'm just intrigued. It reminds me a little bit of Area 51. I don't think we're going to be finding aliens, but I'm not entirely sure what else we are going to be finding. So yes, it's going to be hopefully quite a beautiful drive through South Germany into Austria towards Vienna via Hangar 7. Now, if you didn't know, in Switzerland and in Austria and probably some other countries, you need something called a vignette to drive on the roads. I guess it's like a sort of road tax toll system. We don't have it in the UK, but it means you've got to stop off before you actually cross the border and get a little sticker to put in your window. Well, Switzerland it's like 40 or 35 or 40 euros. I think it's more expensive in Austria. We're about to find out. But yes, I remember the very first time I drove through Austria, it was with Schmee. And you can imagine he was like, you must get the vignette! Mr. By the rules and by the books. But also he did explain that if you get busted without one, it is a hefty, hefty fine. So just need to find somewhere to pull over so I can pop in the shop and grab. Here you go. Here gets the vignette! I love it! Okay, so actually I managed to get 2 vignettes. Austria for 2 months, 27 euros. Slovenia, apparently you also need a vignette, 1 month, 30 euros. So Slovenia, what's your game? Anyway, here we go, we're gonna add them. I'm gonna have a little collection now. I added some more flags to the car this morning, which are over there, but we're now gonna have a collection of vignettes as well. Well, here we go then. I have arrived at Hangar 7. Where am I exactly? Well, this is Salzburg Airport. It is just across the border from Germany. I mean, literally 2 or 3 kilometers inside the Austrian border, and we have arrived at Salzburg Airport, the location for Hangar 7. Now, Hangar 7 itself, it is fundamentally an events exhibition space. It hosts Red Bull exhibits, which is why I'm so excited to be here. I don't know if you can see just behind me, there's a Red Bull jet fighter. The location, insane. We've got snowy mountains over there, lots of greenery, unbelievably sunshine. I mean, weirdly in Europe it's been quite rare that we found sunshine during Drive the World, so I'm ecstatic to have this. Before I head inside and properly show you the main exhibition space and the Red Bull exhibit, which are mainly F1 themed, which is why I'm so excited, the guys are very kindly treating us to some lunch. So I think they have 2 or 3 restaurants here. We're popping to the Carpe Diem cafe bar, the sort of more casual place, for a quick snack before I get way too overexcited and go and check out the sort of secretive collection of F1 cars and other bits on display inside the main Hangar 7 exhibition space.
before we actually make it to the F1 display that I keep talking about, look at this. Who remembers this Gran Turismo concept? It was an Aᴜsᴛʀɪ sort of design for the actual Gran Turismo game. Sebastian Vettel years of Red Bull racing. I remember racing this thing on the game. It was absolutely mental. This was kind of like Aᴜsᴛʀɪ's ultimate vision. If he could do whatever he wanted with a Formula One car, take away all the sort of rules, this is what he would have created. And considering that he is a man who apparently can see air, this car makes a lot of sense, because you can just visually see that this is a bullet. It is a complete bullet. Interestingly, I think this must have been 2013 or 14. I'll check the little plaque in a second. But look, it had a protective canopy. I mean, it was not actually probably protective. That's probably more for airflow over the car. But quite a few years before the halo came around and the windshield that Ferrari tested, we have got some kind of canopy for the driver. But yes, so cool to see. I actually forgot they built a sort of model of this thing. I don't believe it works. I don't think it had an actual engine in it. I could be wrong. But absolutely awesome to see. Right behind it, the Royal Air Force Support Command helicopter. Absolutely huge thing. But yes, in love with that concept. Here we go then, Formula One time. So let's kick things off with one of the most iconic Toro Rossos. Let's forget Red Bull for 2 seconds, even though obviously Toro Rosso, the Red Bull junior team. And in 2008, a young man called Sebastian Vettel got their one and only victory in F1 at a very wet weekend in Monza. It was iconic, and it was the start of, I guess, the Vettel journey. Super cool to see this car. This era of Formula One, the cars just had so much aerodynamic, so many aerodynamic parts hanging off them. They were kind of mad, just like crazy creations. Look at this front wing, for example, the way that goes up and over the nose cone, all the sort of winglets and bits hanging off it. Very iconic, this car, not only for the first victory in Monza, but for Lewis Hamilton fans. It was the car that nearly cost Lewis the championship in 2008, because he got stuck behind Vettel at the Brazilian Grand Prix, or at least he couldn't get past Vettel and this car at the Brazilian Grand Prix, and it was only because of Glock going so slowly that he managed to keep the championship. So yeah, I'm actually really excited to see that car. I think that livery, absolutely awesome. And then we move on to well, at least one pretty iconic Sebastian Vettel championship car. This, I think, must have been 2013. So one of his years with Webber, the final year for his final championship, and the final year with Webber, when they were clashing pretty hard. We had these sort of strokes of purple from the Infinity sponsorship, and those sort of super high nose cones before the regulations changed. So yes, the end of Vettel and Red Bull's domination, which I have to say I was quite pleased about. I was never a big fan of either. It was probably the only time that I've zoned out a little bit from watching F1 was during the Vettel and Red Bull dominant eras. And then this, I'm pretty sure, was 2014, which was Vettel's sort of worst year at Red Bull. Daniel Ricciardo joined the team. He couldn't get used to these new cars, which had changed in regulations for 2014. There was no different powertrains, lots of different things that changed, and he just wasn't comfortable, didn't get used to this car at all, but still beautiful. I mean, the liveries, this Red Bull Formula One livery is just so iconic, and I have to say, so good looking. We'll move back to this side. There are so many cars to look at, it's crazy. And look at one of the first matte paint jobs on a Formula One car, Daniel Ricciardo. This must have been 2016, I guess. You got the Aston Martin sponsorship coming in. Here we go, there's a lovely little nameplate. Yeah, 2016, the RB12. Now Ferrari obviously copied suit with this matte paintwork, but yeah, a very good looking car, and the start of Ricciardo really making a name for himself as a mega overtaker and a race winner. It's a complete opposite end of the spectrum, and really the sort of one of the early starts of the Red Bull story in F1. We have what must be a 1997, could be a 96. I'm going to go with 97, I could be wrong. Sauber F1 car. So before Red Bull bought the Jaguar F1 team and rebranded it to become Red Bull Racing, they were a title sponsor of Sauber. Sauber, who've now become Alfa Romeo. I'm sort of talking like people who might not watch F1 or might have only just started watching F1 recently. So apologies if I'm teaching you how to, what's it called, peel an orange or boil an egg? But yes, there you go. I think, as I say, 96 and 97, because it's the wider wheel track with the slick tyre tyres. Groove tyres came in 1998. I'll keep moving around. Quite a few other people are turning up into the exhibition now, so it's getting busier, but we've got a few planes. Look, look at this on the front of this US Air Force plane. Baby. That is awesome. We have a 2017 car, so this is getting pretty modern now, pretty recent. Max Verstappen and Daniel Ricciardo still with that matte paint, matte paint, and it's crazy how big these modern day Formula 1 cars are. Look, there you go. There's an old, what must be, I don't know, 2000, early 2000s F1 car. Here is a modern one. They just got so long. So long, and there was that awesome comparison that went around Instagram of Lewis Hamilton's, I think, 2017 Merc next to his 2008 McLaren, and they're just tiny, the older cars. So cool to see, but a shame that they're getting so huge. Let's come on to that car. Is that a 2001? Oh, Mika Salo. That must be a 2000. So going back again to Sauber. Red Bull sponsors of Sauber, yes, year 2000 there, so still iconic. I loved this era of F1. This was really me growing up with the Schumacher, Hakkinen years and all of that stuff. These cars were super iconic, and this is a really cool Red Bull, actually. 2008, David Coulthard's last year racing for the team before they sort of turned into the dominant force that they would become with Sebastian Vettel, and this was a charity livery, so I think, yeah, Wings for Life, there you go, I can just about see it. Everyone that donated to the charity got a picture on the car, so I don't know if you can see that. They're all little photos of people, which I thought was an awesome way to reward people that were donating to the charity. And I think the livery ran at Silverstone. I can't remember if he ran it again for his final race at Brazil. He might have. But yeah, anyway, very cool to see. Iconic Red Bull car. Got something else. Oh, that's definitely a Raikkonen car. That I can tell you right now is a Kimi Raikkonen car. It has the iconic white Credit Suisse nose cone. I loved this era of Sauber. A shame that, you know, they've been taken over by Alfa Romeo. Great to see that Alfa back in the sport, but there's just something special about what Sauber were in F1. Oh, what year would this have been? 2015, there we go, lovely plaque. So we're getting some more of the purple Infinity livery. I think by this point, obviously, Vettel had moved over to Ferrari, and Daniel Ricciardo was really the main man of the team at that point. And we had Danny Kvyat in for a little bit too. But yeah, very nice to see that. One driver that I think Red Bull really should not have let go, Sebastian Buemi. I mean, he has gone on to have so much success in World Endurance and Formula E, and it just feels like they really wasted an opportunity for a great driver there. But at the time, it was a super competitive time within the Red Bull flanks, John-Eric Verne, Daniel Ricciardo, all this lot, and they just didn't have enough race seats. And then another Sauber car to finish things off, which must have been, Johnny Herbert. Well, I'm going for 1998 because we've got groove tyres and narrow track, so I'm assuming that's it. And I think I have now covered all of the Formula 1 cars on display. There's an Indy car over there. There's another tour group coming in, so I'm going to try and speed things up. I haven't pointed out the planes, which has been really quite useless of me. I just have such limited knowledge. I mean, look at that thing. What is that? US Navy. I love the paintwork on that, but it is huge. MV Augusta Toro Rosso. Now that is awesome. Oh, look, it's a Felix Baumgartner suit. So the man who jumped from space. Absolutely nuts to see that. Was that one he actually wore? I mean, all the signs are in German, Austrian, but yes, this is all Felix Baumgartner stuff, which is super duper cool. But there we go. I think that's most of the exhibits now that I've shown you. I'm going to head up here, I think, for a bit of a viewing point. I've snuck up to the 360 bar. Officially it's closed right now, but the guys have very kindly let me come up and have a quick look. It's not a place to come if you're scared of heights. Firstly, it's exceptionally high off the ground. It also has a glass floor, so yes, my fear of heights is not working out fantastically well right now, but the view is incredible. And to look down on, for me, Formula 1 cars from this height is pretty amazing. You get angles and views of cars that you just never have seen before. So That's awesome, but also we are on top of the big DC-6 plane, which, I mean, it doesn't make it look any smaller, it makes it look bigger, if I'm honest. And the coolest thing which I just learned is that everything in here runs, all the planes can fly if needed to, and in fact, across the road, or the runway, or the airfield is Hangar 8, which is kind of the workshop for the various planes, so that any planes that aren't on display can be worked on and perfected before they need to actually go out on any flights. But yeah, look, let me just show you just how high we are. So not that secretive, old Hangar 7. In fact, very public, because many tour groups turned up towards the end and it was very stressful filming. Literally. I just felt like the old people's home in every school in Salzburg turned up at one point and they were just all like, who is this man talking to a camera? Or was saying that in German or Austrian. Is Austrian and German a different language?
I think they are different. I think.
Yeah, we don't know. But anyway, still super glad I came here. Amazing space, and for an F1 nut like me, awesome. It's so bizarre that I found it so easy to talk about Fernando Alonso's cars, and I struggled a bit with the Red Bull cars because they all just do kind of merge into one after a while with those iconic liveries. But anyway, amazing to see. Super, super glad. If you're ever in the Salzburg area, I recommend coming to check it out. Also because lunch was delicious. Now time to head over to our overnight stop in Vienna. It's going to be a very short stay there. Making our way, it's a lot of travel over the next few days. A lot of travel. The car has now done 14,000 kilometers. So racking up, and yeah, over the next few days, that is going to be going much, much higher.